from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast.
Could a farm bill get done in 2017?
I'm Michelle Rook. The House Ag Committee brings its conversations to the field tour here to Minnesota. I'll have details from Farm Fest.
In agribusiness, August weather makes soybeans.
One good rain can change that picture.
Machinery Pete confirms his suspicions on recent used equipment trends. And these Tennessee kids are learning life lessons at a summer garden.
AgDay, presented by the Chevy Silverado. High-strength steel for high-strength dependability.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Congress facing a full plate of issues when it returns in September, but lead Farm Bill writers still hope to complete action on a new 5-year farm plan this year. Ranking Senate Ag Committee member Debbie Stabenow says that she and Committee Chair Senator Pat Roberts are very focused on coming together, getting a farm bill done. On the House side, the Ag Committee has been holding field hearings across the country to get input from farmers. On Friday, the panel was at Farm Fest in Morgan, Minnesota. Michelle Rook reports on the challenges lawmakers face to write a farm bill that improves on the current law.
In this time of low commodity prices, the House Ag Committee heard directly from farmers here at Farm Fest in Minnesota about how the next farm bill can help. The committee heard resounding testimony about the Farm Bill providing an adequate safety net. However, Chairman Conaway says that means more of a tweak than an overhaul.
Cotton has to get back into Title I. We have to address the dairy program, the milk protection, the margin protection plan for milk, and the ARC county payment scheme. Those are the big three.
Livestock producers also asked for a $150 million FMD vaccine bank, which the committee is looking for funding for.
So we can have access to the vaccines we need in case an outbreak were to happen in the United States. If some type of event like that were to happen in the U.S., we would be facing basically an end to our exports.
Ranking member Colin Peterson was surprised with testimony that crop insurance is more important than the Title I safety net or increasing reference prices.
I think people are being realistic, realize we don't have a lot of money to do what needs to be done, and they're going to protect the most important thing, and that's crop insurance.
We want to make sure that our crop insurance is not affected, that it was in the president's budget to do some cutting there. We don't want to have that happen.
The big key is going to be finding the money for the Farm Bill. Chairman Conaway says the committee is facing a potential $10 billion cut based on the 2018 House budget.
So once that's finalized, if in fact we wind up having to come up with $10 billion, then we will come up with it, as all the authorizing committees will. The Budget Committee gave me great flexibility in making that happen if that's the case. I don't really think it's going to happen, but if it does, we'll make it happen.
Officially, the committee has asked that the budget not be cut from what the baseline is. Personally, I don't think that's adequate. I think we need more money.
Conaway and Peterson continue to tell farmers, though, they're committed to getting a farm bill done by the end of the year because of the immediacy of low prices.
I think it's important to get it done because you get into next year, you got politics, you got election, and I'm for doing whatever we have to do to make it happen.
In Redwood County, Minnesota, I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Committee members also stressing the importance of keeping the nutrition programs in the Farm Bill, where they say it will be nearly impossible to get the support it needs to pass in Congress. The U.S. trade deficit narrowing in June as exports hit the highest level in a couple of years. The Commerce Department saying Friday that the trade gap slid nearly 6% to just under $44 billion. Exports hitting their highest amount since December of 2014 on demand for American soybeans, computer accessories, and other products. U.S. exports getting a lift from improving global economic growth and a drop in the value of the U.S. dollar. However, it wasn't all good news. So far this year, the trade deficit up about 11% overall. Also in trade, the U.S. is expected to overtake the European Union as China's largest trading partner this year. In the first 6 months of the year, trade rose more than 21%. Now, former officials telling China Daily News that Chinese imports from the U.S. are growing faster than its exports. In April, China and the U.S. agreed on a plan to address trade imbalances. Since then, it's resumed beef imports from the U.S. and is also allowing rice imports for the first time. The new ethanol export numbers are out for June. Now, according to the Renewable Fuels Association, shipments were down 22% from May to June. Canada claiming the prize as the top ethanol destination for U.S. producers, unseating Brazil as exports to the South American country fell to their lowest level in 9 months. The two countries together, however, combining to receive nearly half of all ethanol exports in June. And food prices hitting their highest mark since 2014, led by rising grains, sugar, and dairy, now at a 3-year high. A food price index is compiled by the UN's Food and Agricultural Organization. That index now recovering 20% from a low hit early last year. Cindy Clausen joining us once again. She's in for Mike Hoffman and has today's crop comments. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, Clinton. Francis Kelsey put up this impressive video on Twitter. So far, his irrigated cornfields are looking pretty good. Even from above, the stands look great, although that's not the case everywhere. USDA's NASS offices say 56% of the state's corn is good to excellent. And take a look at this aerial work at Affinity Farms in New Haven, Kentucky. Quint Pottinger using a helicopter to do some of his spraying on the fields. Fungicides have been going on, and USDA says 80% of the state's corn is good to excellent. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll have your national forecast and talk about some of those dry spots across the country. Clinton?
Visit farmjournalpro.com. Trusted analysis, professional insight. farmjournalpro.com.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about timing for soybeans and the expectations of August weather on production. Plus,
stay tuned, folks. Coming up, I'm going to tell you about a super sharp case-size tractor and John Deere combine that sold at auction last week.
And later, we'll see how these kids in Tennessee are learning to grow their own produce and improve their eating habits along the way.
Are you a game changer? Know someone who is? Chevron is searching for those people that have made an impact on the industry. Share your nominee at chevrondello.com/gamechangers. Dello, let's go further.
In agribusiness, it was another mixed day to end the week. Let's see how things stood Friday from the floor of the CME in Chicago.
The soybeans ended up very steady. It seems like that the market is really posturing for next week's USDA crop report on Thursday, and it really is keeping the market in check. We were higher earlier, and that kind of helped the corn to give some to rise a little bit too. So corn was rising. The futures are holding above yesterday's range, so that looks really good on the corn side, in spite of what's been happening with the U.S. dollar index was a little bit stronger and kind of keeping the lid on any further rally, but the market still looks pretty good. The cattle came in a little bit lower. Beef prices really came in lower, and they were pressuring the futures and kind of keeping it down, although it didn't go down as much as we had expected. You know, the prices have been lower for the last couple of sessions and has not pushed these markets down. It looks like traders are still waiting for more fundamental news to really give the market some direction. That's all from the floor at the CME Group. I'm Virginia McGathey.
August is known as the key soybean growing month. Tyne Morgan has more in today's analysis. Tyne.
Here now with Brian Doherty of Stewart Peterson. Brian, let's look at crop conditions last week. We saw USDA actually boost soybean condition ratings. How unusual is it for that to happen this time of year?
Not that unusual. You're at a time of the year when you have a dry weather pattern that is the cause for crop deterioration. One good rain can change that picture. And it's not only just the rain that came through the Midwest last week. It was really at the end of last week, early this week, the extended forecast, 6 to 10 day outlooks, above normal precipitation, below normal temperatures for basically the entire Midwest with the exception of the Northwest. And so that forecast couldn't be more ideal for producers who have been struggling with heat or lack of rain. That's the forecast the market took to the bear side and push prices lower this week.
Yeah, Brian, I mean, we know that August is the time to make soybeans, right? That's what we keep talking about.
Right.
Well, now we're in August.
We're in August.
And we are seeing cooler temperatures. We're seeing those rain forecasts pop up. I mean, if these ideal conditions continue, what could that mean for soybean prices here in the next 4 to 6 weeks?
Yeah, it's an awesome question because really there's two things. One, we've been trading around $10 in November soybeans for some time. So that's your pivot point. So good weather can push you under that. Poor weather could rapidly move you above that. We're looking at better weather, end of August. The heat dome that struck the Midwest. That's pushed out. That's where the concern came. With this forecast, we go back to our earlier analysis in the year. You got a range of probably $9 to $10.50, maybe $11 on the top side. Now you're looking at $9.50 to $9 again on futures. It's that simple. Rain makes grain. That's when beans are made, though, in July and August.
So how much downside risk do you think we still have in this soybean market?
Well, great question there, too, because there's a gap on the chart at 958 that was left on June 30th, so it looks like the market's going to try and fill that gap. So the bulls will tell you, hey, demand's strong enough, ratings are low enough that no matter what the weather is, 950 beans are a fair price. Markets move on perception, momentum, and attitude, and the funds went pretty aggressively long corn, beans, and wheat recently, and so if they decide to move out and don't like being long, the momentum could carry beans back down to $9.
Not what we wanted to hear. All right, thanks, Brian. We appreciate it.
Gotcha.
Stay with us. We'll be back with more Ag Day in just a moment.
To discuss marketing strategies, call 800-334-9779 or visit stuartpeterson.com.
Welcome back to Ag Day on this Monday morning. Cindy Clausen in for Mike Hoffman. Cindy, as we look at rainfall over the past week, I was just in parts of New Mexico, and I can verify they did get rain, although not everywhere.
Yeah, not everywhere. And if you zoom in on that, you can definitely see it was really the eastern parts of New Mexico that got the rain. But even looking up towards Colorado, the eastern part of Colorado, the far western parts of Kansas, Nebraska really got a lot of rain as well. But take a look at what happens up to the north. As we head a little bit further to the north, these are some of the really dry areas that have been showing up on the U.S. Drought Monitor where dryness has been expanding. And so we've had a somewhat decent rainfall in parts of the Dakotas and into Nebraska as well. And as we head over to that drought monitor, you could see some of these areas are extremely dry, and we could obviously use a lot more rain than what we saw, but we don't want it all at once either. But you can see from that drought monitor, we have been seeing that dryness expand in much of the northern plains and even into parts of the upper Midwest. All right, what do we have in store for us for the week ahead? Well, we're going to continue to see some warmer air, especially in the western part of the country. And those temperatures will even out after that kind of cool late last week and weekend. We're going to see things kind of evening out a little bit into the east. Notice that ridge kind of stays in the western United States all the way up way into Canada. So we're going to be seeing that warm air kind of hanging out, especially in the western part of the United States as we get into Friday and even into the weekend. And watch how that ridge really starts to build into much of the nation's midsection as well. So we'll watch for those warmer temperatures to come back into play into the eastern part of the country as well. Now overall, because we're getting a cool start, we see below normal temperatures for a lot of the country, but then we're going to be seeing things transitioning more to warmer by the end of the week. Precipitation wise, we're going to be seeing above normal precipitation across most of the eastern seaboard down into the southern plains and a little bit over into the west as well. But in the northwest and into the far southwest, we are expecting to see conditions a little on the dry side. A little further into the future, below normal temperatures are expected over the next 30 days from the southern Great Lakes all the way down towards Texas. We're expecting some slightly warmer than normal temperatures in parts of the northwest, also in the far northeast and down in Florida. Precipitation wise, a lot of eyes on this. Unfortunately, below normal precipitation where we're seeing those extremely dry conditions in parts of the northern plains and upper Midwest, while we're looking at some wet conditions along much of the southern United States. That's a look at your national forecast. Now let's check out the weather where you live. Wilcox, Arizona, sunny and warm for you today with a high of 92 degrees. Winter, South Dakota, mostly sunny with a high of 78. And Wayne, West Virginia, a bit cooler, some showers today with a high of 79.
All right, when we come back, Machinery Pete's keeping tabs on trends in used farm equipment. He has fresh insights you won't want to miss. And later, the healthy benefits of growing a garden. We'll visit Tennessee, where these kids are elbow deep in produce production.
Machinery Pete is brought to you by John Deere. Where can you find the most comprehensive inventory of John Deere certified pre-owned tractors, combines, and sprayers? MachineFinder.com. Sometimes the best new addition to your fleet isn't new.
Machinery Pete keeping his finger on the pulse of the used equipment market, and this week he saw confirmation of two trends for used iron. Greg?
Well, folks, I saw two trends confirmed in the used farm equipment market late last week at auction. Now last Wednesday on a BigIron.com online sale, this really sharp 1993 Case IH 5250 tractor, 1,644 hours on it, sold for $37,250. And that tractor came out of East Central Nebraska. Now that price, $37,250, is the fourth highest auction price I've seen on a Case IH 5250 sold without a loader the last 6 years. Now the two trends confirmed here. One is the age. That tractor's 24 years old, and we've talked a lot about how 10 to 15-year-old or more tractors, really good condition, very hot. And again, also the size. This tractor's 124 horsepower, and honestly, folks, anything under 150 horse, it's in good condition, low hours. It's been red hot, ton of buyer demand. Now the next day on a farm auction over in East Central Illinois, this 2013 John Deere S660 combine with only 256 separator hours on it brought $205,000. How strong is that? Well, that's the highest auction price I've seen on a 13 model S660 in 29 months. And what that proves is that even on this large late model stuff, for the nicest, cleanest stuff with low hours, there is strong buyer demand out there, folks. So keep taking great care of your equipment. And if you're looking for used equipment, go to machinerypete.com. Got over 100,000 pieces for sale, tons of pictures for you.
All right, thanks, Craig. Up next, learning to grow gardens in Tennessee.
I'm Charles Denny. From the garden to the table, some kids in Gallatin, Tennessee learn to grow their own food in a special summertime program. We're digging in the dirt next on AgDay.
In the Country, brought to you by Kubota's M7 Series. Learn more about the largest tractor in Kubota history at Kubota.com.
Before heading back to school, some youngsters in Tennessee got a summertime lesson in gardening and healthy eating. A UT Extension program called Learn, Grow, Eat, and Go kicked off this year, and Charles Denny shows us what the kids planted in their gardens and more on what they learned.
That thing's hard to get out. Oh my God. Those roots are strong.
Where else can you get your hands dirty and learn science and an appreciation for foods at the same time? Call it our Gallatin Garden. These kids are in a summertime program called Learn, Grow, Eat, and Go, put together by UT Extension in Sumner County.
We've been learning how to make a garden and learning how to plant a garden and making the proper steps for knowing how to feed plants.
Those plants indeed appear to be well fed. This pepper popped out in just a week. Kids see how fast things grow, and they learn the nutritional value of fresh produce, though individual taste may vary.
We're learning about how carrots grow and peppers and tomatoes and stuff.
You like those foods?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't like peppers.
Okay.
This has got to be crabgrass.
Leanne Faust with UT Extension teaches the kids about gardening and nature. In Learn, Grow, Eat, and Go, kids have a safe environment where they can be active.
I think the most important thing is that they just come outside, they have some outdoor activity. They learn that things that plants need to grow are the same things that they need to grow, including sunlight and a little bit of air and movement.
This was the first year for the program, and some 36 kids took part. They had a variety of activities indoors and out, cooking lessons, gardening chores, and lots of physical activity.
These youngsters also did some taste testing. UT Extension's Miguel Mendieta has the group trying cucumbers. It was an almost universal decision that ranch dressing made them go down smoother. But perhaps the bigger lesson here, how'd we get those cucumbers in the first place?
The big thing that we hope to get from them is that they understand how food doesn't really just come from the grocery like probably they might think. We want to show them that food comes from our garden and then it comes into our table. So we want them to make that connection of where food really comes from.
Garden! The kids will do some more eating when the 10-week program ends. They'll feast on what they produce in the garden. So yes, we did get our hands a little dirty today, but we were learning too. And there's growth from the ground up and in some young lives. This is Charles Denny reporting.
All right, thanks, Charles. That's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. Start your week with us. For Cindy Clausen and Tyne Morgan, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day in farm country.
AgDay is powered by Ram Trucks, America's longest-lasting pickups.